They didn't lower their voices. They didn't wait for privacy. In a room filled with executives, cameras, and people who knew exactly what humiliation looked like, a black CEO was fired without warning. No explanation that made sense. No respect for what she had built. It was meant to be a spectacular reminder of who was allowed to hold power and who was not. But as silence swallowed the room, something shifted. Because what they thought was her end was actually the moment she stopped protecting them. And the next few seconds would cost them everything. She wasn't supposed to be there, at least not according to people who believed leadership had a certain look. Her rise had been questioned from the beginning. Every promotion came with whispers. Every success came with suspicion. Still, she outperformed expectations, turning a struggling company into a profitable one and restoring confidence among investors who had nearly walked away. As CEO, she carried the weight of more than numbers. She carried scrutiny. She learned to speak carefully, to smile when dismissed, to stay calm when her authority was challenged in subtle ways no one ever wrote down. The board praised her results publicly, yet privately discussed her as a risk too assertive, too independent, too difficult to control. That morning, the meeting invitation had felt wrong. No agenda, no preparation, just a room full of people waiting. She entered composed, unaware that this wasn't about performance. It was about reminding her that success did not guarantee belonging. The decision was announced quickly, almost casually, as if removing her was a formality. The words were polished, corporate, empty. Her accomplishments were reduced to footnotes. Her leadership reframed as a problem. The room stayed quiet, not out of shock, but out of comfort. Silence was safer than intervention. What made it worse wasn't the firing, it was the way it was done. Public final, designed to strip her of dignity. This wasn't strategy. It was theater. A message sent clearly to anyone watching: power could be taken as easily as it was given. What they didn't see was the calculation happening beneath her calm expression. Because while they believed they controlled the company, they had underestimated how deeply her influence ran. The board depended on deals she had personally negotiated. Investors trusted her judgment, not the institution. Contracts were structured around her continued leadership, her credibility, her presence. The largest financial agreement keeping the company afloat wasn't protected by loyalty, was protected by confidence. And confidence, once shaken, disappears fast. As the meeting moved forward, executives relaxed, assuming the hardest part was over. They spoke about transition plans, replacements, continuity. They believed the system would absorb her absence without consequence. They were wrong. What they had framed as a clean dismissal was actually a fracture. The moment she was removed, safeguards disappeared. Legal protections weakened. Financial assurances unraveled. What had been stable seconds earlier became dangerously uncertain. And still, they didn't realize what they had done. Reality hit without warning. The authority they assumed was permanent collapsed under review. Agreements tied directly to her leadership became void. Confidence vanished. The same people who had spoken so easily moments earlier began to understand the cost of their decision. The room changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but undeniably. Power shifted. Control slipped away. What was meant to end her influence exposed how fragile theirs had always been. This wasn't revenge. It was consequence. The leadership team that had watched her fall now faced their own removal. Not by emotion, but by the structures they failed to respect. The boardroom that had been used to humiliate her became the place where their own positions unraveled. The silence returned this time heavier. She didn't stay to witness the fallout. She didn't need to. Her reputation followed her out of the room, intact and strengthened. Outside that space, investors realigned. Opportunities opened. Her future moved forward without hesitation. Inside, the company spiraled into instability. Leadership stripped, trust broken, credibility damaged by its own actions. What was meant to preserve control instead revealed its absence. Her firing was never about performance. It was about discomfort, about a system uneasy with a black woman holding authority without permission. And yet, the outcome proved a quiet truth: power does not always sit with titles. Sometimes it belongs to the person everyone tried to remove. The question isn't whether this happens. The question is how many times it will take before humiliation stops being mistaken for leadership.